I'm Jeff, and that is Tom. On Twitter, it's at @JCameronShow. You guys are you. Hopefully enjoying a lovely day here or wherever it is that you're tuning in. If you're listening on 93.3, Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV, either one, thank you very, very much. We appreciate you. Hello, Tommy. How the hell are you, baby?
Oh, I'm peachy today. I was happy to hear everything that's going on in Amelia and how hard Jim negotiated. It was a great day to hear that update.
You went straight to Jim Phillips, straight to the Midwestern sensibilities of Jim Phillips. And, we'll have a conversation, by the way, with our own Ira Schafel from over there at Amelia Island. He is diligently typing away right now on a piece about Jim Phillips and the Q&A and what Jim had to say about the state of the league and everything in between. So we look forward to that. Ira will join us in hour 2 to have that discussion. And in the interim, we can certainly have a conversation about it as well. I will say, you saw Michael Alford pretty much take the high road with every question that he was asked. That was his response was pretty, hey, it's all right. It is what it is. He might as well have just said that. It's what it is. Everything is what it is. We're looking at all angles. But yeah, no real acrimony, I don't suppose, was revealed about whether or not Florida State or the folks at Clemson were allowed to be in the room for the further discussions of how to improve the ACC, as hollow as that might feel. Would also like to mention that was pathetic down at Stetson yesterday. That was an ugly, ugly game. It harkened back to some of last year's games where you're not competitive and you do a lot of dumb things in addition to not being competitive. That's a toughie. And by the way, this is about as direct as it gets from Link. I think he recognizes the ugliness of yesterday's game. Quote, tough game today, been a tough stretch. Didn't execute really in any phase of the game at all. It's unfortunate. It's been a tough stretch. What happened to us not being able to get to Pittsburgh and all that and that whole experience, it's been challenging, but needs to be overcome. When you get a chance to come down here and play a really good team, you have to overcome. The base running, the lack of fundamentals, and the capacity today was tough. We've been better at that. We've been better, and we will be better. We didn't play a mature, complete game in any sense of the word today. There needs to be a reflection on how that looked and how that felt. Some of the moments that came up were just a lack of a sense of the game. Yeah, that was tough. And I know it's difficult sometimes to focus when you go through some of the things that we've had to go through Thursday through Friday and all that. It's not easy, but we have to harness a little more self-discipline and a better sense of what's going on around us. Yeah, get your head out of your ass is a long-winded way of saying get your head out of your ass. Man, that was, that's not what you do. It's one game. It is just one game, an ugly one. And it is not indicative of the way they've played this year. But that is pretty pointed. I think that's just I'm not going to go through all of it because there was plenty to circle and suggest that ain't winning baseball. Circuitous routes to balls, overrunning bases, not having your head in the game situationally, a whole lot of, my goodness gracious. That is, other than Tibbs going yard twice, you don't have much to hang your hat on there. That's a toughie. Now you got to come home, though, and wipe it and win a series and put yourself in the best possible position to be hosting games and regionals. That's what you're talking about now. It's a shame that the undefeated in the state streak is over. Of course, I probably should have done a better job on the show yesterday of documenting the house of horrors that is Stetson for Florida State. My God, for whatever reason going down there, it's a Herculean effort to try to get a win at Stetson. This reminds me many moons ago of the fear in his heart, deep down in the cockles and places he didn't want to talk about, that Matt Millar had for Jacksonville. Oh, no, that is ill-attributed, Matt. This should be for Stetson. Stetson is the bugaboo. You don't want to play at Stetson at any point. We got no hit there a couple years ago. Jesus, this is it's something that was hard to watch.
It now means that you've got to at least win 2 out of 3 and win a game or two in the ACC tournament, if not make it to the final, in order to entertain the idea of a top 8 seed. But right now, damage control is necessary to secure a regional site to host and be a top 16 national seed. You'd have to careen into the side of the mountain, I think, to lose that status. But
Correct.
Let's put this to bed. Let's put this to bed. It's not been an ideal few weeks. Not been an ideal few weeks. When your best result in the last few weekends is that you split with NC State, right? That you split with NC State because you had a cancellation. All right, man, we got to get it together a little bit. The Duke weekend was obviously good too. And you get 2 out of 3 in that situation, and that's helpful. But, I mean, we're talking about a stretch right now, if you're looking a little bit closer to today, 7-8 games where, guys, what are we doing here? We're trying to peak at the right time of the year. Are we coming to a halt at the wrong time of the year?
Well, we'll see. It's interesting. You could argue, because the peaks and valleys, that is a baseball season, and it happens to all teams, and I'm fine with it. And, oh, by the way, let's make it crystal clear what we're talking about here. A rather miraculous turnaround year over year. That stands as a fact. Florida State is once again relevant. Florida State is currently a top 8 national seed. Florida State has been one of the better teams in the country all season long. That does not get erased by a bad couple of weeks of baseball. That is still firmly entrenched as one hell of an accomplishment for Link Jarrett in year 2. Obviously had to suffer the indignities of year 1, inheriting a mess. That played out on the field. Doing something about it is what you task a coach with. You pay him handsomely. You understand the resume. You know who the man is and what he's going to do in terms of going out and flipping the script. And he did that. That has happened. From there, once you establish it, and you established it quickly, now you're trying to sustain and continue to build upon those successes. We'll see how it ends. Only one team wins the national championship, as we well know, so it likely ends in a loss at some point this year. We don't think this is a Florida State team that's going to win the national championship. At least I don't. But I do think they're a team that is better than the way they've looked recent. And some of that is the byproduct of really having some tough luck with the bullpen and the injuries that they've had with the starting rotation, and a lot of people having to play in different roles than they would have liked. Some of that has been weird in terms of weather and convoluted scheduling. And some of us just played a bad baseball game yesterday and got called out for doing so. And I'm glad that he didn't try to step aside and make too many excuses. He certainly duly noted that they've had some issues with transportation and been on the road and all this weird stuff with weather. And that is a factor. But he clearly sounded annoyed that they were not able to put that past them and go out and play a good baseball game. You give up the 4 solo shots early in the game. This is a Stetson team that does not hit home runs. They average less than 1 a game. So for them to hit 6 against you yesterday, problematic. So I'm sure there's frustration. At the same time, Tom, I would say there aren't too many teams that go through a season where they don't have a rough patch. You would like to see the rough patch certainly happen at a point prior to entering the postseason. We've watched teams get off to great starts and fade down the stretch and go into the postseason limping and lose, just as we've seen some teams get off to a tough start and be middling for much of a season and get hot, as they say, at the right time and start playing your best brand of baseball late for myriad reasons. And then all of a sudden become a real headache to somebody in the postseason, even though their record did not belie that result of the postseason success. I don't know where. I think we're in between here. Obviously, you could not have gotten off to a hotter start than Florida State got off to start the season. Nobody got off to a better start in college baseball, literally, by definition. Nobody got off to a better start than Florida State, as they remained the last undefeated team in the country before finally dropping a game. So you could not have started any better. And think about what that is on the heels of a disastrous not going to the postseason campaign in year 1 for Link Jarrett. So right off the bat, doff the cap, duly noted and accepted as a remarkable turnaround. Now you're gauging, what are they? Well, they're not great defensively behind the plate. We know that. They're pedestrian in the outfield in terms of defense. I mean, there's with few exceptions. They're good up the middle defensively. They've been better at almost every facet of the game. Their at-bats have been better. You look at if you were to look at barrel rates and things of that ilk, you would really see that this is a Florida State team whose at-bats have improved dramatically and whose contact continues to be very, very good when they do hit a baseball. So there are so many things I like about this team, but might this be okay? This kind of coughing it up there down the stretch here, not playing well to where you get righted just after the season ends and you're ready to get refocused back at home at Hauser, where you've played exceptionally well and where the bats have been more than lively. They've been over the top good. We'll see. Maybe this was the bad stretch you needed to get your attention.
Yeah, to get your attention, that's if you're going to be an optimist about the situation and not say it's a trend that belies something negative happening in the next few weeks, what you would say is because of that hot start and because of the way they lost some of their road series earlier this season, which was specifically one category of the team, one group of the team, the bullpen in Clemson. You know, it's the pitching staff / the bullpen. You can't get outs. You can't throw strikes. That happened again where you can't get outs and you can't throw strikes, but the lineup had largely been pretty good. You're playing well in the field, you're running the bases well. I mean, their fielding percentage, last I checked, which was about a week ago, it's about 15 points higher than it had been any season of the previous four. It's closer to 980. They were at 965. You know, most of the years from 2020 to 2023, that's where they were operating, some as low as 960 some seasons. So there's not a lot you could nitpick at if you're talking about coach psychology. Now you can. Like, Link couldn't melt the paint off the wall. Right, he couldn't curl the paint off the wall in the clubhouse at any point this year for the entire team, because if there was a setback, usually it was one group that was failing. This might be his chance for the first time, maybe since winter ball, like, you know, the winter conditioning stuff, because they came out the gate so hot that you can't pick on him. Now I would think, will grab their attention, and I think that's the point. If you're going to be optimistic, here's where Link can play coach psychologist and ream into him a little bit, and we'll see how they respond tomorrow.
May not have to. I mean, you're right. He'll have to gauge that. We're not in that clubhouse. I mean, he's got a ton of veteran players. He's got a lot of guys that have played a lot of baseball and a lot of guys that have been good leaders this year. I'm sure those guys were well aware of the asinine mistakes that they were making yesterday and that they've made during this poor stretch of play where, I mean, you cannot get picked off of first base with the bases loaded. I mean, like, that's who the hell gets picked off of first base with the bases loaded? Terrible teams do that. This is not a terrible team. The teams that we used to get so angry at these last handful of seasons would do things that left you incredulous, much like that, where you thought, what am I watching? I just watched a guy get picked off with the bases loaded at first base. How the hell did that happen? I just watched a guy round second inexplicably and have a guy throw behind him on an infield hit and get picked off. Like, just dumb assery that they have not been guilty of. So it has been, for that group anyhow, I think a stretch where maybe their mind's not in it. Perhaps they got sloppy, lost focus, paid a dear price, but it's, as I like to say, self-evident. They probably know all those things. I mean, he could spend a few minutes going, we look like little leaguers out here, guys. This is the silliest thing I've ever seen. But I'm sure you guys are aware of this, and you feel the same level of humiliation I felt in the moment.
What a stretch like this does as a fan of what we've been going through, what we've accomplished in this 1 year turnaround, it makes me want to skip to the end. How does it end? I got to know, because I've seen the really good. I know what the really good looks like. I'm hopeful that health-wise, you might be getting a couple more arms and you can extend them out to give you multiple innings that will help you in a setting like a regional, that will help you in a setting like a super regional. But for now, with these recent disappointments, now I just want to know how this thing ends. I almost want to skip this weekend series with Georgia Tech. I want to see what they do when they're away from home. Because let's just say that they win 2 out of 3 and the bats score an average or produce an average of 7 runs a game. And you win 2 out of 3. Okay, mission accomplished. I don't know that I've learned much about this team. They got to leave Hauser for me to learn a little bit about them, because they've been very good at home. Now the next chance they have, be it at a neutral site, when they leave Tallahassee, Florida, what do they look like? Are they mentally sharp? And that's next week. So, again, they need to respond this weekend. And if they don't, now they're in real dire straits for being a top 16 seed. So you have to monitor that. But I'm just getting antsy, because you're seeing some things crumble, and you're like, all right, just tell me how it ends. Are we at home on a Friday night hosting a regional, and we can save Arnold till Saturday? And how do we hit in that particular situation? Are we still base running well? Are we still fielding the ball cleanly? That kind of stuff. I'm getting there. Now I just want to see the postseason.
It's funny, though. I think you would admit we try not to do that, because for years and years and years, our fans were guilty of the utterly nonsensical way of viewing a season, choosing violence before game one. This idea of they better win it all. Yeah. Why do you even watch? Why would you even watch any of the series if your only thought is they better win it all? Like that. We fought against that. You and I fought against that and told people not to do that. That was a dumb way of going into a season and enjoying a season, the ebbs and flows of a season, the good and bad and everything in between. Like, don't do that.
Sure. I agree. I don't typically do that. And I'm not saying, how does it end? When is the last out recorded? And is it our bad or their bad? What I'm saying is, how does it end for the season? Where do we stand when it's the Selection Monday show? Are we hosting? What seed are we nationally? And then let's watch that. I'm getting ready to just skip forward a couple of weeks here. Not, it's championship or bust. It's Omaha or bust. Nothing like that. But now I've got enough information, and the latest bit of information. This is where the not fair weatherness, but the humanness of a fan comes in. I'm getting information I don't like. Okay, I've seen enough of that. I've seen enough of the information I don't like. Let's roll the dice.
Yeah, I just think we've got to be careful. All of us do, because I agree with you. Like, if you think of this as a story, it's going along lovely. And man, I rather enjoy this story. And all the characters are likable characters. I have not seen any of their flaws yet. I've not seen any of those character flaws that come up over the course of a novel or a long movie or a TV series or something. And then all of a sudden you start getting glimpses and personality traits and some things that you wish didn't exist within that character. And you're like, hey, what is this? But if you didn't have that, there'd be no intrigue for the final act. There'd be nothing that would hold on to you. It'd be fantasy land. And so for me, it's kind of like, all right, well, they got flaws, and we knew some of those flaws. Defensively, they've been awful at catcher all season long. Even when they were kicking ass, they have a real hard time back there. They're most days average at best. Some days they're just flat out awful behind the plate. They can make a pop fly in the outfield look like an adventure. That's kind of been something that's been in place for some time, especially I don't want to pick on anybody, but they have some times where you're kind of like, well, okay, then that seemed difficult. Looked like a can of corn, but all right, I got you. But they do so many things so well. They've had a ton of fight. They've been really fun to watch offensively. And before the injuries, they had a really, really, really nice rotation. But now where they are is a team that's very good, capable of winning any series they play against anybody in the country. Anybody in the country. You would not be shocked to see them go out to Omaha. You would also not be shocked to see them lose a series against a really good team at home and have the season end. You wouldn't be, right? So it's everything in between. And I think just getting to your point, yeah, I'm interested too. We got asked whether or not this has been a successful season or what has to happen for it to be a successful season. I'll answer it in a second. By the way, attention, Florida, if you're a victim of an auto accident, we introduce our live chat sponsor, Heisman Legal Law Firm, dedicated to representing injured clients statewide. If you've been in an accident, call Heisman Legal Law Firm, 813-803-0733. That's a free consultation, no cost to you unless they win. Your interests come first with Heisman Legal Law Firm, the name you can trust for justice. Call 813-803-0733 or visit HeismanLegalLawFirm.com. Heisman Legal Law Firm, your advocate in times of need. Offices, Tampa. It's the Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3, Real Talk Radio, and Warchant TV.
Widden Glass has been taking care of business since 1945. When you call Widden Glass, you're dealing with experienced, reliable professionals who offer only the best. Like Widden's top-of-the-line bath enclosures that provide style and luxury at an affordable price. Eye-catching storefronts are a specialty at Widden Glass. We'll help you design it and install it. Widden Glass, the first name in glass replacement. Call 222-5781.
Zaxby's has been perfecting chicken fingers for 30 years. So what now? Now, we go to the sea. Introducing the Southern Fried Shrimp Meal. With butterflied shrimp that's perfectly golden fried. A perfect blend of cocktail sauce and Zax sauce that we call Zax Tail Sauce. Plus perfectly seasoned crinkle fries. Perfectly buttery Texas toast. And even a drink with perfectly pebbled ice. Here's to 30 more years of perfect. The new Southern Fried Shrimp Meal at Zaxby's. Woo, saucy. Zaxby's.
Barry knows cool. He's keeping you comfortable. Barry knows cool. You can give him to the test.
You're heating and air conditioning system doesn't check with you before it takes a break. That's why we're always ready to help. Any day, anytime, anywhere. And with our annual service agreement, there are no overtime charges. Ever. At Verno Heating and Air, we will always be there for you.
Verno Heating and Air Conditioning.
License CAC 1816-186.
This is Jay of Paul's Termite and Pest Control. There are many companies out there selling pest treatment programs at prices which seem too good to be true. Like most things, you get what you pay for. Let's separate the fact from the fiction. Fiction. The price these companies offer includes all visits needed to keep a home pest-free. Fact. Their prices only include regular visits for exterior treatments. If you encounter pests inside your home, these companies will charge you for additional visits. Is that really pest prevention? At Paul's Termite and Pest Control, we always apply exterior treatments, but our plan includes a significant difference. Whenever you encounter an interior problem, Paul's technicians are there, usually the same day you call, and there is no extra charge. With ProShield, you'll never pay extra for providing the service we promised. Pest prevention for your home, and we'll be there as many times as needed to honor our commitment with no extra charge. Paul's Termite and Pest Control is a local company that proudly serves the Tallahassee area for over 50 years.
For the elimination of termites and any other pests,
call Paul's. We'll get them all.
And we make lawns greener, too.
Services to call away.
222-7722. AC and electric is what we do. Service, repairs, and installation too. 222-7722.
Parker Services. Conferences to call away.
Invest in a Peak Performance membership and you'll buy peace of mind in knowing that you're extending the life of your system and probably saving money on your power bill too. The program includes comprehensive tune-ups that keep your system running at its maximum efficiency. And Peak Performance members get many benefits, including priority service. Members jump to the front of the line when their comfort system fails. And a 15% discount on all parts. The Peak Performance membership pays for itself over and over again. Call today and have peace of mind. And now offering electrical services too.
Parker Services. Conferences to call away.
Order license CMC 050334 and EC 1301240.
Science-backed, technology-tracked, and coach-led. Hey, Jeff Cameron here. You've heard me rave about the benefits of Orange Theory Fitness and the proven track record of science-backed interval training. Well, now Orange Theory Fitness has done it again, adding more ways for you to improve your health and look your best. In addition to the always great standard workouts, OTF has added Tread 50 and Strength 50. For those in the mood to just lift for an afternoon or attack those cardio goals for the day. Take the guesswork out of exercise. Make sure you're getting the most out of each and every workout. Orange Theory Fitness, location Midtown Tallahassee and Village Square Boulevard.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
So we have heard from our fearless leader of the ACC, Jim Phillips, commenting on a series of questions, and let's go through it step by step, shall we? It's a lot of fun. Tom and I love these moments. We get the opportunity to isolate some answers and delve into what those answers mean and read between the lines and sometimes actually interpret what was said by Jim Phillips or anybody else for that matter. And that's also a lot of fun. Was asked about how the spring meetings went. And of course, that's a very broad question. And he said that this is a time, as we all well know, a seismic shift, as he alluded to, in college athletics. Been coming for several years, he noted. You were aware of that, Jim? You were aware that the seismic shift of which you speak was coming for years and years? Actions didn't seem to illustrate a man who was well aware of the seismic shift happening in college athletics, but that's just me. He went on to say, no one knows where it's headed. Oh, I don't know about that, Jim. I think a certain commissioner of a certain conference right here in our footprint had a pretty good understanding of where it was headed. And then there was a reaction, one might even say seismic reaction, by another conference recognizing that that's where this was headed, and so they responded accordingly. That, too, is just maybe just me. He goes on to say that he feels great about where the ACC is positioned. Typically don't like to fall back on something like great. I tell my kids not to describe times that they have and places that they go to simply as great. Try to diversify the wording, but seems like an easy fallback, right? I feel great. Okay, I don't know who takes issue with that. Like, you go, really? You feel great about not mattering? All right, that's the way the man feels. He feels great. What can you do? What can you do? It's a seismic shift. Nobody knows where it's headed, guys, but I feel great. All right, so we're 1 for 1, Jim. You picked up where you left off last year. Out here kicking ass yet again, instilling confidence in all of your member institutions. Went on to say that about the FSU and Clemson lawsuits, it's very disruptive, and I'm not happy about it. I don't like it. But goes on to say that it hasn't changed how the conference works with those schools or treats their athletes. Just have to let legal cases follow their course. No, you couldn't like just have a separate set of rules for the athletes at the institutions that are suing the ACC. That wouldn't work. So there's nothing you could do about it. You don't get points for not doing something about it or for treating the athletes differently. You have no choice. So there's really nothing you can say other than you're not happy about it. I'll give you a pass on that one. He goes on to say, and he stresses the importance of the ACC's success initiative. If that doesn't sound like an agency built for failure, which he says can help teams close the revenue gap with other conferences. You know, he goes on to say, if you perform well, you'll be rewarded. But we know to what degree you'll be rewarded, Jim, and it doesn't scratch the surface of the economic disparity caused by us being in this sorry-ass conference in your non-forward-thinking self and what's happening with those we seek to compete with in the SEC and the Big Ten. That's not really an answer. That doesn't – they're going to continue to work very hard on the success initiative, Tom.
Yeah, do you know what that reminds me so much of? And this is something in our personal history. When we were coming out of COVID, and remember it was PPP loans times and, budgets that were reduced, discretionary budgets at the old place. I remember once there was a call that sounded a lot like that. The language sounded a lot like that with success initiatives and sales initiatives. You know, when you get back to 100% of billing, we can expand the budget back to 100% of what it was and on a station-by-station basis. And then when we did, and we most certainly did. I said, well, that's a success initiative for the group. The entire group must get to 100% billing, and then we can return to 100% discretionary budgets.
Well, they move the goalposts, yes.
We will move the goalposts. It is what corporate people do. They work themselves up in the morning to be able to lie. That's what they do. They know that they must lie. They know the people on the other end of the phone or on the other side of the dais know they're lying, but they've got to work themselves up to be able to deliver the lie. And almost like George Costanza said, believe the lie, because it's not a lie if you believe it. And that's what Jim is working himself up to today. So that was what that reminded me of very, very closely.
The thing is, and I don't know, because people have asked me this, when you're floundering the way the ACC is and your two most powerful assets in the sport that matters and is most lucrative want out and have publicly stated so numerous times and now sued you, and you have sued them, I really don't know what the answer is for Jim. Like in that situation, you can talk about success initiatives and it's the "this is fine" meme. You know, I mean, that's all it is. It's Jim is the dog in hell with the fire all around him in the office. Like that there's nothing he can do. In fairness to him, like as much as I rip him, and I do, and for good reason, there's nothing he can say. Like he can't pretend that that's not happening. It's just, I have to say something. You ask me a question, I have to produce words.
Well, and that's the thing is if you caught that corporate type, be it the one that we ran into or Jim, in an honest moment, off the record, and he could trust you, he's smoking a cigarette. He goes, it's just a rough deal, man. There's nothing I can do. And I hate it for these people. I hate it. But, I got to get paid too. I got to do my own job. And so we all know what's going on, what the shell game is. And he knows that he's got to go back to that old chestnut. That is the Success Initiative, which is the reason that Florida State and Clemson went from we might sue to, oh yeah. Well, Florida State first and foremost said Success Initiative.
Yeah.
How about we define success as eyes on sets? Let's define success as eyeballs on television sets, which is the reason this deal exists in the first place. Let's reward that success with an initiative that says millions of viewers equals millions of more dollars. But he knows that he doesn't have the votes to do that. So he's got to represent what the majority wants, which is something that's going to break the conference apart.
Yeah, it's a brutal position to find yourself in. I'm not like losing sleep over Jim Phillips, tenuous job status. I do think that you get asked that question and the conference is burning down around you and you recognize that you're not in a position to compete long-term in college football, which is what you're trying to do, which is the only thing that makes the conference successful long-term financially. You don't have much of an answer. It's got to be hard not to incriminate. And yeah, I mean, there's no doubt if you're Jim, you're looking for a parachute. You're looking for a lifeline. Somebody throw me something so I can get it the hell up out of here. I don't want to be a part of this anymore. I'm crying for help right here on camera when I say Success Initiative. That's wink, wink, nod, nod. I'm holding up the newspaper with the date on it. I'm letting you know I need help. This is the terrorists are telling me to say these things, and and I know I'm being tortured behind the scenes, and I got to smile and hold up my sheet that shows you the date, proof of life. You got to get me out of here, everybody. I wish Jim would start doing that. I wish Jim, boy, I tell you, everybody likes to analyze everybody else's lapels. Everybody wants to see the buttons you wear on your jacket. And then have a long diatribe about what it means that you had this one or not this one or all the other buttons you could have had. Jim needs to start wearing buttons that say, I'm effed, help. Just that's it. And then have different ways of that being expressed. In fact, put it out to a local ACC artist and see how many of these things you can have made for your lapels. You put your little American flag doohickey so you can prove you're more patriotic than everybody else. And then over here, you get the one that says, I'm effed, please help.
And it's an ACC font. That would be the coup de grace, is that it's in that little slanted ACC font. Well, no, that's a service initiative that we have. It's not, I don't need help.
Yeah.
It's just, we've launched a service initiative. Jim, what is that service initiative? It's an acronym. What does it stand for? And then he slaps the pitcher of water across the table and he runs out of the room like Chappelle.
Yeah. Jim, when asked about the the ESPN contract with the ACC, said, well, it runs through 2036, Jim. But there is a look-in, and he was willing to admit that there is a look-in. He did not want to offer specifics. It's a fluid situation. He wanted you to know, guys, the contract runs through 2036. I'm not sure what you're asking. Well, I'm asking it that we're understanding that there is a look in, and that possibly the current deal could dissolve as constructed. You have any? True, there is a look in, but it's a fluid situation, so I cannot comment on it.
Yeah.
FSU obviously noted in the lawsuit the contract actually has to be extended past 2027, and this decision comes by 2025. So it's kind of important that was excluded in Jim's answer about the contract going through 2036, because there's a way for the contract not to exist after 2025.
Right. Well, yes, to not trigger beyond 2027.
Right.
He really had to. This is like a Rocky montage of mentally working out for that question, because he knows it's coming. But you've got to be able to sell it. Like, you got to launch into full mode. You got to have the lifelessness in the eyes as you deliver. Everything's okay. There's no problem here. I mean, it's straight up from the intensity of, they're right and they have a point, and I really wish they hadn't brought that to the public discourse.
Yes.
You're asked the question and then you've got to go full lifeless, just straight up. You morph into, I have no worries whatsoever. We are going to be under contract through 2036. We've got great partners. Jimmy is a friend. I just talked to him this morning. And yes, there might be a look in, but that's just a procedure. We're going to be here till 2036. And he practiced very long and hard for that moment.
I love there is a look in. Sir, come on, buddy. Come on. By the way, my friends at Tried and True Consulting, here you go, guys. The spring has ended. Summer is here. It's heating up. We're getting all set for the upcoming kickoff this football season. Tried and True stepping up. An incredible offer right now that ensures no business will get left out, like some invitationals leave people out, for example. That's not going to happen when you go Tried and True. When you process payments with Tried and True Consulting, you get to choose from $1,000 off of the hardware necessary. Number 2, no gateway charges for a year. Or 3, a free video ad board. You can call Don or Joe to find out about these options right now, 844-463-6653. Be on the lookout. Don and Joe have a team entering Tallahassee May 22nd through the 26th. You want to get in contact with them, get together if you own a local business, make this happen. Call Don or Joe. They'll save you money. They're all about the Noles, 888-I'm4Noel. Or scan that QR code if you're watching and ask for the Jeff Cameron Show special. 10% of all of their net revenue will be contributed back to the Battle's End. They're all Noles all the time, and they want to do business with you and make you more money. It's Jeff Cameron Show 93.3, Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Your local news now.
The Tallahassee Police Department confirmed 2 men are dead and 2 other people are hurt. The call came in a little before 2:30 a.m. Sunday in reference to shots being fired. Police arrived outside Zingle's Billiards and Sports Bar and found 4 people with gunshot wounds. 2 men were pronounced dead at the scene. The other 2 victims, a man and a woman, were taken to the hospital. It is unclear if the victims were the intended targets. Tallahassee Police are asking anyone with information to call 850-891-4200 or to remain anonymous, call Crime Stoppers at 850-574-TIPS. Chief Financial Officer Jimmy Petronis activated a disaster fraud action strike team to be deployed to Leon and Gadsden counties to combat residents being taken advantage of during the recovery and rebuilding process. To report suspected fraud, call the department's toll-free fraud tip hotline at 1-800-378-0445 or visit fraudfreeflorida.com. This is Rachel Lene with your Real Talk 93.3 local news update, brought to you by Macklemore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at macklemoresystems.com.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. Lots of sunshine this afternoon with a high of 89. Winds out the west, 8 to 15 miles per hour. Lows around 66 tonight, mainly clear skies. Daytime highs approaching 90 tomorrow. 88 Friday with a chance of thunderstorms. 84 Saturday, chance for storms continues. This report is brought to you by the Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Currently, it's 87 degrees.
Have you been injured on I-10? I'm Dana Brooks of Facing Brooks Law Offices. We partnered with Roadproof to access all interstate traffic camera footage along I-10 from Pensacola to Jacksonville. Memories fade and witnesses disappear. Securing important video footage now can make sure your claim receives the full attention it deserves. Call us today and let us secure the proof you need to come back stronger. Facing Brooks, 850-777-7777. Offices Destin, Tallahassee, and Jacksonville.
There is no Bigfoot, Eddie. Would you stop with that nonsense?
There's a Bigfoot, Jeff.
I wish there were. By the way, I don't want you to point to me as the guy that takes all the fun out of the room. I wish there was the Loch Ness Monster. I wish there was the Bigfoot. I wish there was the Chupacabra. All the things.
They're all mythical except for the Bigfoot. The Sasquatch.
The Bigfoot?
The Bigfoot. There's big feet. There's lots of them.
So, like, different, breeds, like different kinds
there's
of...
there's like, families. There's different families. And,
so if they're in the snow, you call them a Sasquatch.
Or the Yeti. Right,
yep,
and then here in Florida, that's a skunk ape, and
I've never heard that one. By the way, why do you think it's real? We would have found them by now.
They're the hide and seek champions of the world, Jeff. Nobody finds the Bigfoot.
I think you believe in Bigfoot.
I do believe in Bigfoot.
You don't believe.
I believe in Bigfoot.
Don't tell anybody you believe in Bigfoot.
I would go look for Bigfoot, but he scares me.
Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
The Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness. 2 Tallahassee locations, Midtown on Thomasville Road and Northside in the Village Common Shopping Center.
Jeff Cameron Show rolling on, having fun at Jim Phillips' expense. We wait for these moments. Ira Schafel will respond to those moments, what he heard, what he learned, all of it from the ACC meetings, spring meetings at Amelia Island. He will join us in the second hour of the show, and I look forward to it. Want to get a sense sometimes, kind of, you can read the quotes, you can watch some of the videos, but you can get a better sense from the people that were there and the kind of conversations that occurred. By the way, Jim was also asked, on the heels of being asked about the ESPN contract, in which he admitted certainly there is a look in, guys, but went on to say Phillips asked for his reaction to North Carolina trustees' comments about the future of the ACC. Well, those are campus discussions and campus politics that are going on. I'll monitor the situation moving forward. That's not campus politics. They're talking about cold, hard cash, Jim. They want to know where the money is. That's not politics. That's like, hey, we're broke. This isn't good. We need to make more money so we're not broke. What do you say, Jim? I will not get involved in your campus politics.
Like if an international criminal had a government saying on C-SPAN, or live television, we aim to kill this man. Well, that's domestic politics.
Get involved in that.
They're trying to rile up their base. They're trying to get some votes. I wouldn't worry about it. They're not coming after me.
Yeah, that's I do like the added, and what a throwaway statement. We'll continue to monitor that situation. You just told me there's nothing you can do about it. It's campus politics. Why are you monitoring? Don't waste your time, Jim. No, really. I insist. Stop monitoring what North Carolina says. It doesn't matter to you. It's just campus politics. Remember?
That's correct. It's not worth your time to monitor. So why would you even monitor the situation if it's just campus politics,
Jim, he thinks that you are getting bogged down by unnecessary worries. Don't worry about what's going on with North Carolina campus politics as you clearly just defined it. There's nothing you can do about it. Control what you can control, Jim. Control what you can control. You can't stop the Board of Trustees at North Carolina when they want more money and ask where the money's coming from. You can't stop them from asking that question.
Jim, if it's trivial and it's campus politics, why do you care? Well, the gated neighborhood is a very important concept that I really wish we would circle back to here. Let's circle back to the issue. We want to be in the gated community.
He did say, when asked about whether or not there's a chance that things could be salvaged with member institutions Florida State and Clemson, given that they're suing one another. And he said, I remain optimistic. All right. That's a toughie. Don't know what else he could say. Did add that he'll continue to try to protect the ACC. Sure. Look, I do want to make this clear. I think there's a sense when we have fun at his expense, or we talk about the timidity with which he speaks, or the uncertainty is the platform in which he stands. I have said numerous times that this is not a discussion about whether or not the ACC will exist. The ACC is going to exist. It's a matter of whether or not it's relevant to the sport that makes the most amount of money and allows you to compete to win championships. And that's what Florida State's goal is to be on equal footing and make the kind of money necessary to compete for championships. Not every school in this league cares to do that. This is a perfectly suitable deal for the Boston Colleges and Syracuses and Wake Forests and Dukes of the world. They rather enjoy this deal. In fact, one could argue, as it's currently constructed, that those programs, those institutions are getting paid more by being an asset of ESPN, albeit a second tier or third tier asset, however you'd like to define your terms. They're making more from having that alignment, that contract with the ACC and ESPN than they would ever make if this was a free-for-all and everybody just kind of landed where they were going to go based on the asset that they were, eyes on sets, right? Duke, Wake Forest, Boston College, Syracuse, amongst others, probably would never get a better deal than this. This deal's fantastic for them. They don't want this to go away because they're loving life. This is the best they're ever going to do. And it sounds like I'm being condescending, and I can be, and I understand my history of sarcasm as well. And I know that a lot of you, and especially if you went to one of those institutions, would read that as Jeff's just being a horse's ass again, taking shots at my school. No, I'm a realist. I'm being pragmatic. that is what those schools are in the world of football. They are great in a lot of other things. First of all, many of them are wonderful academic institutions. That's all well and good. I've not lost, none of that's lost on me. I get it. But we're always talking about the big picture as it pertains to football and the money. That's what we're talking about. So, again, a lot of these teams, a lot of these programs don't want anything to change. They hate all of this contentiousness and the fact that a contract that they have with ESPN could be revised, reevaluated, looked into, if you will, and altered to where it would better represent what asset they are to ESPN now, which is dwindling. Then they would make less money, and it would be more reflective of who they are and what they represent on the big stage of big-time college football. And, we don't want any part of that. We want out, just like Clemson does, and maybe a few others who recognize that they're an asset, eyes on sets, money to be made, to an ESPN Tier 1, to a Fox Tier 1. So that's what we're talking about. I know the ACC will collect a pretty penny from the teams that leave. I get it that we're going to be forced to pay. Who knows? I mean, we're all guessing here, but somewhere between the neighborhood of $75 million to $200 million or whatever it might be to get the hell up out of here. We're looking for a number. We just want a number because it ain't going to be 550, which is far too punitive. So we're just waiting on the number. And when we get it, we'll pay it and we'll walk and make it back on the other end and then some. And as I've already laid bare for all of you, I read it straight from the contract that ESPN and others, Fox included, helped pay the exit expenditures of those schools they deemed to be a greater asset and welcomed into the fold. So when Texas and Oklahoma came over to the SEC, bolstering ESPN's asset and the contract with the SEC, they were helped out. They were given financial considerations. Teams that left for the Big 12 got some of that too, by the way. This is a thing. It's a thing that happens. So Florida State's not as concerned, just as I bet Clemson isn't either. So long as they have a home, they wouldn't be suing if they didn't. So they know they're going to one of the big two, and that's their end game. Nobody's suggesting that the ACC will cease to exist when this plays out. It just will be irrelevant pertaining to the sports we care about and the one that makes you the money. That's where this is going, and this is why we have the conversation on a regular basis. I'm not pretending that the ACC will no longer be in existence. I'm saying it won't matter in football, just as it barely does now. And had to learn that lesson, and unfortunate to us, had to learn that lesson the hard way this past year. When Florida State, one of the 5 or 6 biggest names in college football, one of the most recognized, some might say iconic brands in all of football, were told thanks but no thanks for your undefeated Power 5 conference championship season. We're going to let a team with a loss and several close calls to bad teams like Auburn and USF into the playoff ahead of you because we're in bed with the SEC and they make us a hell of a lot more money than your sorry-ass conference, the ACC, which we also have a deal with, but as I described earlier, is clearly second tier.
That's the other thing that Phillips said today, too. And that's probably this is my favorite thing that he talked about, which was the college football playoff payout, which was, how did it go, Jim? How did it go that the ACC got a lesser share just like the Big 12 did? And his retort was, he negotiated very hard. He negotiated very hard to receive a higher share than the SEC and the Big 10. But some of the metrics that were used to determine value came out against us. And unfortunately, I tried my best. I negotiated very hard, but some things that they care about, maybe those are things that, like, Florida State is suing us over. Maybe those are the things that they care about, viewership and value. They decided that we don't matter as much. So that's the thing that, if I'm going to be serious for a moment, drives us up a wall. Not only did we get told that we were a second-class citizen on the invitational, during the invitational show, that 2 teams with a loss passed us, one of which was number 7 in the country before that ranking was released.
Joining the SEC.
Right. Oh, of course. But it was number 7 in the country before this magic wand was waved, and they're number 3 in the country because they beat Oklahoma State, who UCF destroyed. Okay, sure. That was a really big accomplishment for you, Texas. So that should be a personal affront to my man Jim. But if it wasn't, and he hates Florida State, okay, fine. I will. But I know he doesn't. I'm just saying I'll give you that for a moment for this argument. Then you sit down with the college football playoff and are told once again that you are a second-class citizen and that you're worth less money and you're worth less. Period. You're worthless compared to the SEC and the Big Ten. At that point, he should have a come to Jesus with Alford, with Clemson dignitaries, and say, "I'm so sorry. If we're going to make it, we're going to make it together. I was wrong. You were right. What do we need to do to make this thing work to where we can succeed long term? It's going to be bumpy in the beginning." And that might not have been enough. Yeah. But he didn't do that, did he? He was slapped in the face once, then he was backhanded across the nose a second time, and he just took it.
Well, he had overwhelming evidence of the intent of some of his fellow conference commissioners, and chose to tell us about neighborhoods. And all neighborhoods are uplifted if the trash is taken out in a timely fashion for all. Yeah, it didn't make any sense. Hour number 2, Ira Chaffel will join us in that hour. It's the Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3, Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV. Looking forward to talking to Ira from Amelia Island. It's coming up next. Stay with us.
Attention Florida, are you a victim of an auto accident? We introduce our live chat sponsor, Hyson Leka Law Firm, dedicated to representing injured clients statewide. If you've been in an accident, call Hyson Leka Law Firm at 813-803-0733 for a free consultation. Remember, there's no cost to you unless they win. Your interests come first with Hyson Leka Law Firm, the name you can trust for justice. Call 813-803-0733 now or visit HysonLekaLawFirm.com. Hyson Leka Law Firm, your advocate in times of need.
Tried and True Consulting, a Seminole-owned business that specializes in payments and business solutions. Tried and True's core expertise includes card, ACH, point of sale, mobile, e-commerce, and hosted payment solutions. Tried and True will help you reduce costs and increase your bottom line. That always sounds nice. Whether you're a retailer, restaurant, licensed professional, or service industry, Tried and True is saving you money. Tried and True's expertise extends to payroll, video menu ad boards, IT services, web design, and social media. It's time to make one call and tell the competition to take it on down the road. Call Don or Joe today at 844-464-6653. That's 844-464-6653. When you do business with Tried and True, they contribute 10% of the net revenue to the battle's end. So go Tried and True today. Call 844-464-6653.
Thank you for calling the Medicare Help Desk. How can we help you?
Can you help me choose the right coverage for myself and my wife?
We sure can. We can help you choose from Medicare supplements, Medicare Advantage, or standalone prescription drug plans from over 30 different insurance carriers.
How much does it cost? We have a fixed income and can't afford extra expenses.
At the Medicare Help Desk, the consultation is completely free. We are here to help.
Thank you, Medicare Help Desk.
Hi, this is Justin Colvin, founder of the Medicare Help Desk. In my 17 years of experience, I routinely speak to seniors who are overwhelmed by the multitude of coverage options available to them. That's why I created the Medicare Help Desk, a place for you to get clear answers to all your questions and make sense of all the confusion. I've helped thousands of clients, and I live right here in Tallahassee with my family. I am active in my church and wish to help and serve my community. If you need help navigating the Medicare landscape, I'm easy to find. Just visit the MedicareHelpDesk.com. That's the MedicareHelpDesk.com.
There's fun to be had every night at the Corner Pocket. Take-home prizes on Trivia Tuesdays and Beer Bingo Thursdays. And kickstart your weekend with Martini Fridays. Plus, happy hour runs every weekday and game day specials every time the Noles take the field. Watch all the best games at the Corner Pocket's Vegas Wall, featuring 560 inches of flat-screen TV heaven.
Oh, really?
The best food, the best drinks, and the best place to watch all the games. Tallahassee loves the Corner Pocket.
Coming up next, more of the Jeff Cameron Show. Live and local on Real Talk 93.3. WVFT. Gretna, Tallahassee. The latest betting odds and live movements from Vegas. This is your action update. Now here are your latest lines from our guys in the desert.
Scotty Scheffler is a 4-1 favorite in the PGA Championship at Valhalla Golf Club in Louisville, but you can bet the winner without Scheffler. That excludes Scheffler, so the top golfer beyond Scheffler if he should win it. Rory McIlroy plus 550, Brooks Koepka 11-1, Xander Schauffele 11-1, John Rahm 12-1. NASCAR Cup Series this week at North Wilkesboro over the All-Star race. It's Denny Hamlin, the plus 550 favorite. Braves, another 75 home favorite against the Cubs today, plus 145. 8.5 over at Truist Park. It's Taj Bradley on the mound for the Rays today. $1.20 underdog at Fenway against the Red Sox. Free betting splits available at vsin.com/splits. For more sports betting news and information, go to vsin.com. Mike Son at Real Talk 93.3.
Okay, it's here. Everyone stay calm. It's Kohl's lowest prices of the season. And when I say low, I mean low. I got my kids jumping bean tees for $3.99. Treated myself to some cute tees and tank tops under $5. And got great finds for our patio, 50% off. Plus, I earned Kohl's cash on all of it. Sounds too good to be true? Well, I guess you'll have to go to Kohl's and find out for yourselves. Select styles. Offers in May 15th. Some exclusions apply. See store or Kohl's.com for details.
Febreze. Fabric Talk. Hey, it's me, your couch. Today's my favorite day of the week. Febreze Fabric Spray Day. The occasional deep cleans are nice, but in between, you know I'm needing a refresh. Ooh, here she comes with the Febreze Fabric Spray. Oh yeah, spritz them armrests. Don't be shy. Nothing like a good spray down to get me smelling so fresh and clean. Don't forget my back. Nice. Febreze Fabric Spray. It's just that easy. Now we can both breathe. Happy Febreze. La 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 la.
Dude, that's quality radio right there. Tell us how you really feel.
Sorry, man. I'm just so tired.
And why do we think we're tired?
Oh, I haven't made the Grassroots coffee yet.
Yep, Grassroots coffee. Tastes even better than it smells.
Roasted to perfection.
And so many blends and single origin coffees. You can have a different tasting coffee every day of the week.
You can order directly from grassrootscoffee.com.
And with a Grassroots coffee subscription, you'll never run out of your favorite brew.
Locally owned, locally roasted for everyone and loved everywhere.
That's Grassroots coffee.
This is Shannon Young with Fairway Independent Mortgage Corporation. Sellers, are you stuck between wanting to sell your home and waiting for rates to fall? Are you worried about the contingency of having to sell your home? What if you didn't have to? With a 2-1 rate buy down, you can lock in a lower interest rate for the first 2 years of your mortgage and get the home you want now, all while having a higher chance to buy that next home with the contingency of selling yours. If you wait for rates to fall, you risk more competition, sellers less likely to wait, and paying more for that next property. If you're stuck, we need to talk. Give me a call at 954-369-6171. Again, this is Shannon Young with Fairway Independent Mortgage Corporation. That's 954-369-6171. And don't forget, for every loan we close for our fellow Knowles, I will personally donate $250 to the Battle's End.
Equal housing rent. NMLS number 373031.
Science-backed, technology-tracked, and coach-led. Hey, Jeff Cameron here. You've heard me rave about the benefits of Orange Theory Fitness and the proven track record of science-backed interval training. Well, now Orange Theory Fitness has done it again, adding more ways for you to improve your health and look your best. In addition to the always great standard workouts, OTF has added Tread 50 and Strength 50. For those in the mood to just lift for an afternoon or attack those cardio goals for the day. Take the guesswork out of exercise. Make sure you're getting the most out of each and every workout. Orange Theory Fitness, location Midtown Tallahassee and Village Square Boulevard.
Broadcasting live from Florida's capital city, this is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness on Real Talk 93.3. Now, stop what you're doing and listen closely. It's time for the Jeff Cameron Show in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
That is Tom. Ira Chaffel, warchant.com's own. Going to join us in about 15 to 20 minutes. Second segment of this hour is when Ira will jump on and we'll get his thoughts on some of what we were discussing last hour. Jim Phillips Q&A with the assembled press there and sort of the scrum, if you will, and his thoughts on, hey, I didn't get to read. I want to clarify this. Tom did a good job of touching on the point that we were really laughing at, but I didn't actually read the direct quote. So I'll do it here in just a second. Would also note that tomorrow's baseball game, that's right, it's a Thursday through Saturday series, has seen a time change. I believe that's 7 o'clock, Tom. Did I see that come across the wire properly?
That is correct. 7 o'clock, no changes to the other games. It also sounds like Link Jarrett had indicated the fence is going to be a little bit shorter, right? Because it's a temp fence, you see. And so there will be one. It's just not as tall as we're used to. So it would be a smaller monster, a monsterino.
Yeah, by the way, I do see in the chat, this is funny, the Heisen Legal Law Firm chat, this makes me laugh. Tweet by Brett McMurphy. SMU officially joins the ACC on July the 1st. Cal and Stanford don't officially join until August the 2nd. The quote from ACC Commissioner Jim Phillips as to why, I have no idea why, but it happens. This is what happens when you don't think it through prior to being asked the question and have a prepared answer that makes more sense than, say, that one. Because what happens is if you are in a room and you have advisors and people that you talk to about how you're going to handle situation by situation, question by question, you can guess what's going to be asked of you. You know the pertinent questions involving the new teams that are joining the league. You know that you're going to get a question about the ESPN contract. You know you're going to get questions about Florida State and Clemson. So you can kind of vet all of this with your team and have them ask you the question, and then whatever it is you've prepared to answer, you could say. And if you said this answer out loud, again, we were having this conversation yesterday, Tom. Sometimes if you just say this thing out loud, you get greater clarity of what you can't say. And when he said SMU's joining the conference on July the 1st, Cal and Stanford won't join until August the 2nd, I have no idea why, but it happens. In the room, somebody would have gone, well, now, Jim, that's not a sufficient answer. You also don't paint yourself in the greatest light as commissioner of the league to say to somebody, you have no idea. Like, just stop right there. We're not going to begin sentences with, I have no idea, Jim, for the most part. Now, if somebody started to ask you questions about quantum physics, you could say, I have no idea, and you wouldn't be made to look bad. But if they're asking you questions about your member institutions and contracts, you can't say, I have no idea. You see where I'm going with this, Jim? You just can't lead by saying, I have no idea. And this is nitpicky on my part, but it's very simple. That's like a PR team. That's anybody. Just go, Jim, let's not go with I have no idea. Let's reword that. Let's talk about some of the weird idiosyncrasies of teams leaving one conference and joining another. Let's go down that road a little bit. The answer will bore them to death, and nobody will hold you to it. But you can't go with I have no earthly idea. Just happens. Just happens. Crazy. You sound like a little kid who broke the lamp. Is asked about the lamp having been broken while your parent was away. Parent is home now, sees the broken lamp. Can't give me with, I have no idea. You're the only one here. Can't do it. Got to come up with some better explanation as to how that lamp ended up shattered on the floor. Even if it's a lie, it's just got to be a better thing than I have no idea.
Well, that's how I would have coached Jim there. Jim, you could just lie. Nobody's going to fact check you. There are no sports being played on July 15th that SMU is prohibited from, or Stanford's prohibited from joining the conference and playing in that sport on July 15th. It'll be okay. You could just say something like, oh, their current contracts with their conferences expire at different times.
Correct.
And whether that's true or not, and I'm going to guess it is. But if it isn't, termination dates on contracts.
Next question.
Excellent answer.
Oh, yeah, great answer. Maybe completely false. Doesn't matter. Nobody's following up. That sounds reasonable. You'd go, all right.
Right. That's what old RP McMurphy in the audience is like, well, I ain't looking up a termination date on a Pac-12 conference contract. I don't care.
I don't care. What do I care when SMU joins the conference or Stanford and Cal? I don't care. So, yeah, I got an answer. We thought it was a little strange that it was staggered. We wanted to know why. Jim says it's contract termination dates. Seems reasonable enough. Next question. Yes, something more official. And even if you didn't want to lie, although you could have, you just can't give me, I have no idea, it just happens. That is so, it doesn't just happen. These are like science deniers. It's just the best. You're like, really? A fairy did it. I bet we can do better. I bet we can do better.
We can.
And
we can. Hang on. A fairy did it, and it just happens. Okay?
Yeah. I suspect we can do better. We'll seek further clarification. May not have a legitimate answer for you for weeks, but I'm going to go down the rabbit hole since you asked me. I'm going to find out exactly why it is that the conference has teams joining on one date and another team not joining until a later date. That's what we're going to do. So, long story short, that's also part of it, is he doesn't hear himself. It's why he's an easy target. He sounds mopey, frightened, sheepish, got taken advantage of on multiple occasions by more authoritative, stronger, and willing combatants that happen to run other conferences. Repeatedly made to look bad, and then give us these kinds of non-answers that make you, in some cases, furious. I mean, in some cases, furious. I've learned not to get angry anymore because I now know who he is. And Jim is likely not a dumb man based on his educational history. And sometimes it's that people cannot handle being in a very public setting, public office, and having to answer questions on the fly. Some people's demeanor, body language, you name it, also not suited for the job. And so there are a variety of reasons that maybe this isn't their best use of their intellect. But either way, the man is the commissioner of the ACC, and this is the kind of nonsense we get on a regular basis.
Yes. You heard of Meek Mill? He's Meek Phil. That's who he is. He's just meek all the time. And the Alliance knew it a year ago. Like, wait till we get him to agree to all this. This is going to be awesome.
The Alliance.
Seriously, you might think this might be a contentious meeting. This would be the easiest meeting we ever had. Oh, there he is. Jim, come on in. Absolute. No, that seat right there. Perfect. Yeah. The one without the padding. Yeah, no, that's fine. Just sit right there. Every single time. Every time. He didn't fight to get airtime during the selection process. You know what he did? He popped into the TV press box to talk to Palmer and Joe Tess at like halftime. Well, he came by the press box earlier today just to make a note that this and this is true. Hey, man, Sankey was on. He was at the convention center, that loser center in Atlanta before the game starts. It was
a filibuster. He was on for an hour stumping for his teams. Like they couldn't get him off the damn dais.
He was testing their boundaries. How much time can I get here? Because the more time I talk, the more power I have. And nobody said, let's go to break. That's the opposite is, well, I wonder if I could say hi to Jesse real quick. And maybe Jesse would listen to my point. Hey, come on.
I was in Charlotte when that happened at the house that was rented for us. And I was watching this. And I think I said to Aslan, what is going on? Like, why am I watching this a-hole take up half my time on game day? Why? What is happening? Get him off my TV, please. What are we doing? And then we all kind of rolled our eyes and said, you want to bet we don't at any point see the ACC commissioner? Safe assumption, just like it is a safe assumption to make your way to Zaxby's if you want delicious food. Ooh, don't you try that at home.
Ooh, man.
Golden brown, tender nuggets with that Zax sauce, spicy or otherwise, some Texas toast. Get about it. Deliciousness.
Tender Nuggets is a great shirt. Just Tender Nuggets.
Can't wait to get my hands on them tender nuggets.
And then throw a Zaxby's logo on the back of the shirt. It's perfect.
It is perfect. It is perfect. Zaxby's, 116 locations. They've bounced back strong. You'll find a Zaxby's near you. There's no choice. 116 of them here in Tallahassee. Everywhere you look, you're on a corner somewhere in Tallahassee, across the streets is Zaxby's. I guarantee it. Go get it. It's delicious. And they've got fried shrimp now. Fried shrimp never sucks. And it especially doesn't suck when you get it from Zaxby's. I just had it last week. Delicious. We appreciate you, Zaxby's. And I know FSU appreciates you because Danny has been a Golden Chief booster for over 19 years, aiding Florida State's efforts to kick ass. Thanks to Zaxby's. In part, thanks to Zaxby's. Ira Schafel, he was at these spring meetings. He got a chance to hear Jim Phillips explain how it was that they negotiated hard. Hey, now. And came up short. Came up just short. We'll talk to Ira about that when we get back. It's Jeff Cameron Show. Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Power Mill Training Academy equips motivated athletes focused on baseball and softball with the specific tools to reach their true potential. Now, you'll read that if you go to their website, but I'm here to tell you that, look, whether it's your daughter wanting to play softball, your son wants to play baseball, or maybe they just want to have fun and get the most out of their abilities, and that's where Power Mill comes into play. They've got coaches and camps that teach for every level of play for your son or your daughter. To learn more, go to PowerMillSports.com.
You probably already know that Pinch a Penny Pools and Spas is your one-stop destination for all pool maintenance needs, offering everything you need from chemicals, cleaners, vacuums, nets, and more. But that's not all. Pinch a Penny also carries a huge selection of premium hot springs hot tubs paired with easy financing options, making these luxury hot tubs affordable for everyone. And if you have an older hot tub and you're worried about the hassle of removing it, worry no more. Pinch a Penny will not only remove and haul away your old hot tub, but also offer a trade-in value for a credit towards your new one. So why wait? Visit Pinch a Penny's 12,000 square foot showroom today on Greer Road and discover how effortless and affordable owning a fantastic hot tub can be. Find out more at TallahasseeHotSpring.com. That's TallahasseeHotSpring.com.
Hey folks, it's me, Mac and More, spokesperson for Tallahassee's favorite Apple and Mac product store, Mac and More. We all know what Mac is all about. It's your MacBooks, iMacs, Apple Watch, iPhones, iPads, we've all got them. But what's really cool is the and more. And there's a lot more at Mac and More. They can help set up your new gear, migrate and back up your data, teach you new tricks and how to use everything better. And if something costs too much to fix, they'll tell you the truth. There's a lot more at Mac and More. See for yourself at macandmoresystems.com. Or you can take it from me, Mr. Mac and More.
I'm Greg Tisch, here to share one of my favorite TCC stories. In the summer of 1966, Eugene Lamb wanted to stay in shape before leaving to play college basketball in Louisiana. So he jogged to Tallahassee from his home in Midway and helped lay the bricks for the first building on what's now the TCC campus on Appleyard Drive. Today, he is a longtime member of the TCC District Board of Trustees. It's no exaggeration when we say Trustee Lamb helped build TCC into what it is today.
TCC thanks our community for 58 years of support. We look forward to moving into the future together.
Oh my God, what happened to you? You're walking so crooked.
Well, I was walking my alligator and I tripped on a cypress knee and I spilled my margarita.
Oh my gosh, your margarita.
Yeah, I blown my back completely out. I had to ride the alligator home. I don't know what to do. My back's killing me.
You're such a Florida man. You should know you should go to Finn Chiropractic.
Really?
You can go to their website and book an appointment and get you in as soon as possible. Go to FinnChiro.com, FENNCHIRO.com.
You mean 24 hours a day I can make my appointment online and pay for it?
Yep, right on their website.
Wow, and it's discounted?
Yeah.
All right, that's what Florida man needs to do.
No lines, no waiting. Visit FenChiro.com to book your next appointment with a discount. FENNCHIRO.com. That's FENNCHIRO.com. It's Fen Chiropractic, where the chiropractors love you, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Hold my beer. I'm going to Finn Chiropractic.
Science-backed, technology-tracked, and coach-led. Hey, Jeff Cameron here. You've heard me rave about the benefits of Orange Theory Fitness and the proven track record of science-backed interval training. Well, now Orange Theory Fitness has done it again, adding more ways for you to improve your health and look your best. In addition to the always great standard workouts, OTF has added Tread 50 and Strength 50 for those in the mood to just lift for an afternoon or attack those cardio goals for the day. Take the guesswork out of exercise. Make sure you're getting the most out of each and every workout. Orange Theory Fitness, location Midtown Tallahassee and Village Square Boulevard.
The Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness. 2 Tallahassee locations, Midtown on Thomasville Road and Northside in the Village Common Shopping Center. Online at orangetheoryfitness.com.
Jeff Cameron Show rolling on. As promised, we'll bring in our very own Ira Schafel, Warchant.com, and he was there at Amelia Island covering these meetings. That's a good thing, and I appreciate that. Ira, can you hear me?
I can hear you, Jeff.
We did it right on the first try. How about that, man? We're rolling. Becoming a professional right before everybody's eyes, 26 years into the job.
You're all grown up. We're enjoying it.
Okay, so I want to read this to you because it hasn't stopped making me laugh.
Oh, no.
And then I want your comments on all things Jim Phillips. Okay, Phillips mentioned that he was not happy with the new college football playoff revenue distribution model, which obviously, for those that don't know, will provide much more money to the SEC and the Big Ten than the ACC and the Big 12. About that, he said, Ira, we negotiated hard. He went on to say that, unfortunately, the ACC did not perform as well in the metrics that they used in determining the money for the other leagues. Buddy, it just gets better and better and better with Jim. They did negotiate hard, Ira.
I did my best, guys. I did my best.
What else do you want me to do? I understand you have concerns about the money. I tried. I expressed these concerns. Trust me, I negotiated very hard.
What I think he probably wanted to say, if we could give him some of the truth serum we've always wanted to give Jim Phillips, I think what he would have said is, yeah, I said we want more money, and the SEC, Greg Sankey and Petiti at the Big Ten said, okay, we'll hold our own playoff, and you guys hold your own playoff, and see how that goes. And then we took whatever they gave us. I think that's what he would have said.
I also like that is giving him the benefit of the doubt. They could have just said no.
Go sit in the corner again.
They could have just said, no, Jim, we're not going to do that. Just like when...
Do we have to put you back in the corner?
I mean, Jim, how many times do we have to embarrass you publicly? We lied to your face repeatedly during the seismic shift you described earlier today in college athletics that nobody could see coming. That was also one of my favorite lines.
I do feel bad for the guy because, again, I mean, as we've covered many times, I don't know that there's much any commissioner could do with what the ACC is facing. I do give him credit for at least trying his best to say that he still thinks the league's on solid footing, that they're still solidly in third place behind the Big Ten and the SEC, and that they're not going anywhere. You know, he talked about the TV contract with ESPN, and he talked about the future of the conference, and the fact that they've added 3 world-class institutions in Cal, Stanford, and SMU. And I mean, I almost wanted to write that he sounds bullish, but I couldn't type the words.
I also enjoy the fact that he, at first, when he was attempting to sound bullish for the first time in his life, he said that the ESPN contract with the ACC runs through 2036, and he said it confidently before having to admit that it was a fluid situation and there's a look in.
That's one way to describe it. The way he's describing it, and again, I mean, my guess is he might be parsing words a little bit to make it sound good, but he presented it as the deal will exist till 2036, but there is a look in, and instead of saying that it could end in 2027. So anyway, it's semantics. I mean, I think clearly, if I think to me, if I had to guess, because we really don't know, this is something that came out in FSU's lawsuit after looking at the ESPN contract. And my guess is maybe ESPN wanted that look in to say, if this conference loses some of their top schools, we want to be able to renegotiate. Because I don't believe the ACC would get dropped by ESPN. ESPN still has to fill a lot of hours on the weekends with college football, but I think it may give them an option to reduce the amount. So when Jim Phillips says it's not going anywhere, that may be true, but it may be reduced if FSU and Clemson and maybe North Carolina leave the conference.
Well, and it would be significantly reduced. And yes, he's not going to come on there and say, "Oh, guys, we're going to exist in a depleted fashion for the foreseeable future." Yeah, he's not going to do that. And I get that. Ira, give me the big picture. It's easy to poke fun at Jim Phillips, so I do it hours at a time. But I also understand that there may be some other issues that I ignore in the midst of making fun of Jim Phillips in his sheepish efforts at the dais. Anything that you found out that intrigued you or was news to you, or can you give us a sense of what the feel of those meetings were like with the other schools and the reporters that were there to cover them?
Yeah, I honestly, I'd probably want to focus on the reporters because, I don't have as good a relationship with some of these other ADs as they do. And I will say this, though, talking to these other, if you look at the way, and I'll write about this for our site, but if you look at the last couple of years of these meetings, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, back to 10 years ago when we were going through all this with the FSU and the ACC, the feeling has pretty much always been, until the last year or so, that, FSU's being whining, FSU's being a pain in the butt, FSU's complaining, they're the squeaky wheel, we get it, but they're kind of the outlier. Last year, you started to hear other media members, after they talked to their sources, saying, yeah, this doesn't really seem great for the conference.
Mm-hmm.
You're Clemson and North Carolina and other schools talking. Now, when you talk to these other reporters who cover these other schools that are not Florida State or Clemson, including some of the national reporters, like, they all feel like the ACC's, it's more likely than not that it's going to either cease to exist or just crumble into something that's a fraction of what it is now. And that's the prevailing feeling from people in the media. Again, people who don't necessarily cover FSU or Clemson. So to me, that's kind of newsworthy or noteworthy that everybody seems to see the writing on the wall.
A little late, guys, especially for those that were ACC Twitter warriors and tried to tell the world how selfish Florida State was acting and how, pompous, et cetera, the fan base was for believing that they were worth more than, say, a Wake Forest. It drives me nuts to see so many of these writers now, not all, but many of them come around to the way of thinking that Florida State led the charge with, which is, don't you want to compete for titles? Don't you want to matter in the only sport that brings home real revenue, real significant revenue? Don't you care that you're getting the shaft and that it's only going to get worse with the way things are trending? Those folks all acted like FSU. Its fans, its administration, anybody that defended Florida State's efforts to stick up for themselves, they all acted like Florida State was being a spoiled child and was in some ways wrong to do so. Now they see the writings on the wall. Yeah, good luck, guys. Go to hell.
And I think what was another thing that was interesting for Michael Alford's comments yesterday, and I know sometimes fans, when they read comments from a president or an AD that are not as forceful as they'd like to see, some people, get upset or they want to see more vigor, more, fire and brimstone from these officials. I thought if you read between the lines or just read some of the subtle comments from Michael Alford,
yeah,
they were pretty strong. Like, one thing he talked about was, he was asked about Clemson filing lawsuit and whether or not he was surprised by that. And he said, no, I wasn't surprised by that. And, Clemson is a school that desires to achieve success. They desire to be an elite college football program. In other words, unlike the rest of you.
Yeah.
He didn't say that, but that's kind of implied. And then, the other one was just talking about just the frustration about the way the league has handled things. He's not going to say that, the deal that there's no chance they could stay in the ACC. But if you read between the lines, it's clear this is not going to be a successful venture, and Florida State needs to get out.
Well, and there's no sense, I would say to the people who want him to continue to saber rattle, he already did it. He already did it. Right. He made the announcement with authority. And then he has doubled down and tripled down and quadrupled down on it. There's no reason to keep doing it. Everybody understands Florida State's position. They're firmly entrenched in that position. That is not going to change unless Jim Phillips were to announce something crazy like, hey, everybody, I've decided last second, Florida State gets 70% of all the revenue the conference makes. You know, like, that's not going to happen.
Yeah, and also, you had, again, a year ago, you had Florida State doing their saber rattling, and Clemson was doing a lot of it behind closed doors. And now, in the last year now, Clemson obviously came out. They did their lawsuit. And now you see North Carolina now. This is the second time this week that their board of trustees have come out with comments with real concerns about the ACC and the ACC payouts. And it feels like, the next step is going to be for North Carolina to do the same. And it's like, man, how do you survive as a conference if you lose those three schools? It could survive as a conference, but it won't be anything like, it won't be considered. It'll be considered along the lines of, the group of five conferences.
Oh, 100%. And as we've heard from Tom Quitz when he's come on, and really anybody else covering this case with a law background, they've all said the more people that enter the fray, the better it is for Florida State. I mean, in essence, at that time, at that point, you're fighting a war on all borders here. You're like, you look to your left, you look straight ahead, you look to your right, man, there's somebody there. Everybody's there. They're at the door. They're at the gates. At some point, the ACC just decides on a number, mediates all of this, and says, I'm out, right?
You would have to assume so. And again, that ESPN deal looming next year is why it's kind of so interesting. And I would love to know, the ESPN deal was, this is one of the things that FSU alleged in their lawsuit, was the ACC was, and the ESPN were supposed to have that look in originally a year or two earlier, or actually I think 2 or 3 years earlier, but ESPN pushed it back. They wanted to push it back till 2025. And you wonder if ESPN knew what was coming and if they wanted to see how it all played out before they committed to what they're going to do in the future. And if that's the case, then again, it kind of makes you wonder how tied in the ACC, ESPN is with the ACC, and how invested they are. Because that's one of the things that has been a big conversation this week. Behind, on top of everything else, is the issue with Florida State getting snubbed out of college football playoff, the way the ACC got treated in terms of the run up to the NCAA tournament, and so many schools getting left out of the NCAA tournament, and the question from a lot of the coaches to ESPN when ESPN was here this week was, what's your plan to help promote us? We're partners. We're supposed to be your partners. What are you doing to promote us? And from what we can gather, ESPN doesn't really have any answers for that, because the bottom line is that's not their interest. Their interest is promoting the SEC, and it makes you wonder if they pushed that look in back a few years because they saw what was going to be happening in the meantime.
Yeah, it sounds like these meetings just further confirmed what we already knew, and then in some cases shined a light even brighter on it, that if you're in the ACC and you're seeking to compete at the highest levels and go toe-to-toe with your biggest rivals in this regional footprint, you're in the wrong place, because you're an asset to ESPN, but you are a second or third tier asset.
Maybe Suge Knight should have showed up. Or I guess Greg Sankey should have showed up, or the guy from the Big Ten, and said, if you want to be in a conference,
yeah, you don't want your ADs dancing in your videos,
because for sure, man. And then you have these other schools that have to go on as business as usual, because they understand the reality that these schools are going to be leaving and they're going to be stuck with this conference, and what does that look like? And it's a weird place, man. This conference is a weird place right now, but I think it's all I do get the sense in the next year or so, it's, for the most part, it's going to be resolved, and we'll know where FSU is going to be.
Is managing editor Ira Schafel at Amelia Island this time next year covering the ACC spring meetings?
I think we will not be here. But yeah, if I had to pick, I would say we'll not be here. But hey, if it's one more trip to Amelia Island, I won't be mad about it.
I was just going to tell you, soak it all in, buddy. Go enjoy yourself. Take your time. Drive slowly on your way out of town. It's a lovely area.
Actually heading down to Jacksonville this evening to talk to Mike Norvell again, because he's speaking to a booster club down there. So I'm going to go over there on the way home and talk to some FSU people along the way.
Well done. Good reporting, sir. Always appreciate it. I'll see you tomorrow for headlines, I do believe, right?
Yeah, sounds good. Thanks, man.
Perfect, man. Take care. That's Ira Chaffel, warchant.com. Extracting more information as we go along here. Is Ira going to get something from Mike Norvell, who, by the way, said something about a offensive lineman that we need to go through and vet because of what else it means. And we'll do it next. That's what we'll do. How about that? Clunky tease, but a tease nonetheless. Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Your local news now.
The Midway Police Department confirmed a 60-year-old woman is dead after a shooting off Highway 90. The shooting came in around 7:45 Saturday evening in front of the Ocklackney Point apartment. Details from police are limited. Midway Police is working with the Florida Department of Law Enforcement and the Gadsden County Sheriff's Office on the active investigation. Anyone with information regarding the shooting is asked to contact the Midway Police Department. As Tallahassee residents work to recover from Friday's tornadoes, nonprofits are stepping in to help. The Capital Area chapter of the American Red Cross had set up a shelter at FAMU's Al Lawson Jr. Multipurpose Center at 1800 Wanish Way. The shelter is pet-friendly and open 24/7. People who have been displaced from their homes are welcome to stay at the shelter where they can receive free water and meals. The Red Cross is also welcoming people to stop by the Red Cross building at 1115 Easterwood Drive if they need water, snacks, or a place to charge their phone. The center is open from 9 to 4. This is Rachel Lene with your Real Talk 93.3 Local News Update, brought to you by Macklemore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at MacklemoreSystems.com.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. Lots of sunshine this afternoon with a high of 89. Winds out of the west, 8 to 15 miles per hour. Lows around 66. Tonight, mainly clear skies. Daytime highs approaching 90 tomorrow. 88 Friday with a chance of thunderstorms. 84 Saturday, chance for storms continues. This report is brought to you by the Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Right now, it's 89 degrees.
Choose Hearth and Patio for custom fireplaces, maintenance, outdoor grills, kitchens, fire pits, lighting, and so much more. Check out all of Hearth and Patio's options online at hearthpatiotallahassee.com. Hearth and Patio, they keep the home fires burning.
Let's be honest, we all have way too much stuff. Maybe your storage closet is full, your garage is full, or the guest bedroom is a mess. Call Southeast Portable Buildings, 580-6400, or visit them online at southeastportablebuildings.com.
There he is. Haven't seen this guy since, what was it? Oh, shoot. U2 at the Sphere in Las Vegas, baby.
Hey, how about that, man? Wasn't that fun?
Good show. Good show. Everything about it. Nearly perfect. Nearly perfect.
I had everything I could possibly want.
I wanted one thing, couldn't find it, and I looked everywhere. No Cubans.
What do you mean?
No Cubans.
There was Cubans.
No, I didn't see any Cubans.
Dude,
no.
I'm sure there was Cubans there. I mean, you know.
No, I walked around. There was a moment right before the show. I thought, got to find some Cubans. Nothing.
Dude, there's Cubans. There was Cubans. I'm sure there was Cubans.
In Las Vegas?
In Las Vegas.
No Cubans in Vegas.
There's Cubans in Vegas, man.
Eddie, there were no Cubans.
Chef.
The sandwich. There were no Cuban sandwiches. You're Cuban. Of course I know there were Cubans there.
Oh, the sandwich. Yeah, no, there probably wasn't many there in Vegas.
No Cubans.
No, not yet.
Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
Where we shall solve for the future thanks to our friends at ISF. More on ISF momentarily. But speaking of solving for the future, here you go. Mike Norvell, when talking about the offensive line, said, when you look up front, our offensive line has got a chance to be as good and as deep as we've had. I'm excited about seeing Robert Scott back here this fall. You've got Darius Washington, who I think has a chance to be an All-American left tackle. All right, well, there you go. Let's start there, Tom, because this is where it gets interesting. If you believed that Robert Scott, and you were excited about seeing Robert Scott this fall, you'd say that in anticipation, thinking that he was going to play a significant role for you. That'd be the only reason you'd say you were excited. If he just remained on the team in the capacity that he's been at for the better part of a year now, you might be excited because you like Robert Scott, the human being, but it's not a comment you would make about the potential of his game day presence, right? I think to follow it up by saying Darius Washington has a chance to be an All-American left tackle is very specific. So I'm going to assume, as I have for some time now and did every game last year, that Robert Scott isn't going to play a significant role on the offensive line for Florida State next year, and that Darius Washington is going to be your starting left tackle.
I will agree with you on point one. They're going to hold out hope as long as they can for Robert Scott, but Robert Scott playing left tackle is no longer in the cards unless Darius gets hurt. That's the only way this works. Or you've got multiple injuries insofar as your backup center, who I don't know who that's going to be because it can't be Darius.
Identified, right?
It can't be Darius. If he's an All-American left tackle, that means if Maurice gets banged up, it's not Darius who slides inside. So I don't know who that guy is. Can't wait to learn who that guy is. But the only way that Darius moves off of left tackle is if you have multiple injuries at center, he's your emergency center, and you shift a whole bunch of stuff around. But if Robert's going to play, he's going to play right tackle or I guess a guard position, but I don't know. So that's the thing is Darius is now entrenched at left tackle because it came from the coach's mouth. So, okay, that's nice to know. That's one piece of the puzzle down. You've got 4 options, I think, that are pretty good at guard. Think about it. They started Estes in the showcase, and that wasn't something that they just did on that Saturday. You saw him running with the ones. I know I did the day I was there for practice later in camp. But you've got Richie Leonard and TJ Ferguson, who I think are your 2 best guards. Keandre Jones is also in that mix. Maybe Armella can get in that mix. I'm not sure, but you've got 4 at least that they like at guard. You've got your left tackle. You know Mo is your starting center. Now it's about solving right tackle. Who's healthy? Who do they want to push faster? Who do they want to develop quicker? Okay, I like having an answer and an anchor at left tackle. That makes me feel a little bit better about the situation.
Well, your backup center is Ferguson, who has played some center before at Alabama, and that's who they would try to, I think, move to your backup center if he had to slide over from guard. He's your starting guard now, but that's probably your option. They don't have a lot of great options there. They do have depth on the offensive line that they haven't had in some time. We can argue about the overall quality of that depth, but they're not minus players. They may just be, maybe not above replacement, but just somewhere right there even. I think they're going to be really good at the 2 guard spots this year, and they're going to maul people and run the football. I think Darius will do a good job at left tackle. I have concerns about right tackle, but I also think that there are some options that, if they are to take a step forward in the fall, what if Lucas Simmons comes in here and is really, really much stronger up top than he was? He's got the footwork, he's got the trunk, he's got the length, he's probably long-term your left tackle, maybe not this year, but ultimately that's what he'll play before he leaves here if he's healthy. We know that. He's a prototypical NFL tackle if he's stronger up top. Maybe they feel like he can play some right tackle for him while Darius holds it down at left tackle for this year. We both like Otto a lot. We both like several players that provide depth pieces for them on the offensive line. I think on the one hand, that kind of does illustrate Mike's point about how excited they are to have upwards of 10 guys they feel comfortable playing on the offensive line. And they do rotate guys, and they do juggle guys, and they do cross-train guys, and they do all that stuff. So you do have fall camp to kind of figure it out. Like, all right, well, we probably do have to have a plan in place here at center if Mo goes down, because he's been ravaged by injury his whole career. He's also had the heart of a lion and always found a way to fight and play through it and play at a plus level. But we got to have somebody behind him. And what does it look like if he comes out of a game? Who's shifting where, and what are our options? And that fall camp, you can do that. You didn't have to do that in spring, so that's fine.
It's a fair point, though, that Ferguson could be the guy. I mean, think about it. 2 ways you confirmed it. One is that Stickle left, and I know that Stickle wasn't going to be any great shakes if you're in a big game against, say, Clemson's defensive line.
I like Stickle. I'm glad he got a chance to go, and he'll go play somewhere. He's a good player. He's a hard worker. I mean, he's not going to be good enough to play here.
Agreed. Yeah, on all fronts. Not denigrating the kid and his work ethic, but like in an emergency setting, you might have had to use him. But they're telling you, and they're telling him, we don't need you in that situation anymore. Go play somewhere else. Like, meaning go play a bunch, go get a bunch of reps.
Go play, yeah.
And they're telling you with the Cam comment, Cam, listen to me. I'm ahead of myself with what I read.
Darius Washington.
But the Darius Washington comment that he's not moving in. So they're telling you 2 different ways that they got a second option that they like. Now, to the point that I see in the Heisen League chat, Cam Irving left tackle for center when it was needed. Yeah, but I don't remember Jimbo saying that he's got a chance to be an All-American left tackle in the preseason. The only way Darius moves from left tackle to center is if you have Lucas develop into an ultimate Orlando Pace level in college stud. Right? If your coach says that you are going to be a potential All-American candidate at tackle, man, you're staying there unless there is an absolute emergency or an absolute emergence of somebody else. But the fun part this year is, while they're high on Jalen Early, I'm higher on Otto and Lucas Simmons at tackle.
You and me both.
But they could be right. They could be right about that. And Early is developing on a plan that they like and on a trajectory that they like. And so they have him in the mix with Byers to go along with Simmons and Otto. But if you're getting to that point, and let's just say for argument's sake that Robert Scott was available for a third of the games this year, 4 of the games, you're now talking, I get it. But you're
I don't know why go ahead.
Because Coach is talking about it that way, and they didn't kick him.
But they keep doing it, and they did it all last year, too. He's never going to play. It's just we need to stop the pipe dream. It's ridiculous.
Well, why would they continue to bring him up? He's a medical DQ candidate. Wouldn't they just not mention him at all if they were trying to make scholarships work?
Let's get to it. Let's get to it, buddy.
So
just don't know what they're doing.
Allow me to continue with Rob's available for, say, a third of the games. So just give me that much.
I'll give it to you.
Okay. Then that's a good soundbite. So now you're at about 6 or 7 options at tackle. Holy cow. You're talking about, really 6 options at tackle. You love what you have if you're Mike, apparently. Darius at left. And I was impressed with Darius in the camp that he had at left tackle.
I like Darius a lot, yes.
He's a lot meaner, and that's good to see. But when's the last time that you got to that level of, let's just even go without Robert, 4 or 5 potential options at tackle that you like? Maybe that's why he's excited. They've had options at guard. Like last year, they had options at guard. The year before, they had some options at guard. This is depth across the board in a way that they haven't had. And he has to feel that way to come out and designate a position for Darius yesterday. You wouldn't do that until the fall if you didn't feel comfortable.
I was excited about that. I thought Darius had a great camp there. I think he's going to have a great year. He's been a versatile offensive lineman. He's given them so much of what they've needed in a pinch. I like everything about Darius. I have obviously think that the ship has sailed on Robert Scott. I wish him well. I like Robert Scott a ton. When he was healthy, he was a real good football player for us. He hasn't been healthy in over a year and a half. They kept rolling his ass out there for 5 plays, 7 plays. It was useless. I don't know why they did that, other than they love the young man and they're hoping against hope that it can get righted. But there is no evidence, none, not even this spring. There was no evidence that Robert Scott was anywhere close to being back to where he needed to be. And now your head coach is telling you Darius Washington's your new left tackle. So I don't know how great he can feel about Robert Scott. That's all I'm saying. But I'm rooting for Robert Scott. And I do like these options that we keep talking about. And I think it is important that they have those options. And so this might be a perfect set of circumstances for Florida State to transition from being what they were on offense last year to what they want to be on offense this year, which is rugged, downhill, run the ball, play action, utilize the big arm and the newfound speed on the edges. I love it. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Just like we love our friends at ISF and our collaboration with them. Speaking of collaboration, they got together with the Florida Department of Health, Child Care Food Programs Business Processes Review. That's what they do. They provided a thorough business process review for the Department of Health, Bureau of Child Care Food Programs. And by the way, they improved the payment systems. The MIPS, as it's known, is a system that is used by child care providers to submit federal reimbursement claims for meals and snacks provided for the children in their facilities. Man, you can't beat that. You improve that, you're changing a child's life, you're feeding people. This is what they can do with state government agencies, compensation. They do all of these things for you. It's ISF, and we just solved for the future at tackle, it sounds like, over the spring, with Mike Norvell letting us know that it's Darius Washington, everybody. The Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV continues in a moment. Hey, no fans, our partner ISF Inc. is a national management and IT consulting firm located right here in Tallahassee, Florida, solving the future for state governments through strategy, process, and technology. As a trusted advisor for state governments, ISF knows the importance of defining a clear and detailed strategy. Our friends at ISF can help your organization create a strategy that sets you on a path to success. ISF, your vision plus our expertise brings your brilliant ideas to life. Visit ISF.com to learn more. ISF, solving the future.
Tallahassee is full of rich history and traditions. When you think of things that jump out in the minds of longtime residents, the state capitol, McClay Gardens, the Springtime Tallahassee Parade, FSU and FAMU Sports, the St. Mark's Lighthouse, St. George Island, and Paul's Termite and Pest Control. Paul's has been protecting thousands of people, their pets, their homes, and their lawns in the capital region for over 50 years. Locally founded and still locally owned and operated. There aren't many businesses in our industry that keep it together that long. Paul's Pest Control has many customers we've been honored to serve for over the last 50 years. We've experienced tremendous changes in how we treat homes and protect the people that live there. We've moved from liquid termite treatments that require drilling into the home's foundation to Centricon, a baiting system which works with their natural biology. We've moved from interior service to exterior treatments for general pests. But one thing we're not going to change is our old-fashioned commitment to personal service for each of our customers, the same way we've been doing it for over 50 years.
For the elimination of termites, any other pests, and a greener lawn, too.
Call Paul's.
We'll get them all.
Social Kitchen is now open on Cary Forest Parkway near Ology Northside, Tallahassee's only premier market where you can receive the famed Snake River Farm steaks and premier meats. Social Kitchen also has chef-prepared meals and sides ready to serve in just under 20 minutes. Perfect for those very busy springtime weeks, weekends, you name it. Hosting some people at the house. Hey, Social Kitchen also has build-your-own charcuterie boards and catering. Stop in and visit Social Kitchen today or visit us online at socialkitchentlh.com. socialkitchentlh.com.
Have you been injured on Interstate 10? I'm Jimmy Fasig of Fasig Brooks Law Offices. We've partnered with RoadProof to access all interstate traffic cameras along I-10 from Pensacola to Jacksonville. Let us help you get the proof you need to stand up for yourself and get fair compensation for your injuries. Call us today and let us secure the proof you need to come back stronger. Fasig Brooks, 850-777-7777. Offices Destin, Tallahassee, and Jacksonville.
What will the Noles do to follow up an unconquered 2023? Warchant.com, the market leader in FSU football and sports coverage, is the place to find out. Join the largest FSU fan community and talk Seminoles sports in Warchant's Travel Council and premium recruiting message board forum. Enjoy special access to multimedia elements like Wake Up Warchant, The Jeff Cameron Show, and Seminole Headlines, plus exclusive forums with FSU student athletes and a members-only discount to Garnet and Gold. Warchant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source. Head to Warchant.com and sign up today.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.
Another reminder, I cut off the voice guy there. I'm tired of hearing him talk. I wanted to hear myself. Wine Wednesday at Social Kitchen today. Stop by every Wednesday. You should know this by now, guys. I'm trying to drill this in your head. It's Wine Wednesday. You're damn right it is. socialkitchentlh.com to learn more. But if you go by their physical location off of Cary Forest on Wednesdays, you get a 10% discount on all wine and cheese. So you get the added bonus of the cheese, and that's a big bonus for a guy like me. I love the cheese. Who doesn't love the cheese? So there you go, socialkitchentlh.com. Yeah, golf picks, right? A bunch of you wanted golf picks. So this is kind of weird. For those of you that don't know, obviously, a big part of these picks, and I'll always remind you, don't bet what you don't have. And we're going for the best odds here. We're trying to take guys that we think have an opportunity to make us money, not the favorites, typically. Or you can combine certain things. I will tell you this, Tom, they've gotten better with this on the Hard Rock app. You can do a Scotty Scheffler and Rory McIlroy to both finish inside the top 20 bet as a parlay, and you get plus odds on that at plus 250. That's fun. They're adding to the mix now. It allows you to bet favorites in a way you never really could have before and get some decent juice.
I like that.
Oh, I got to turn you on. You go ahead. Now you're on.
Yeah, that specific bet, I do enjoy that idea because the way that this course is going to lay out and be played, it's going to be a little bit soggier with more receptive greens. That screams McIlroy.
Gotta have length, baby. Gotta have length.
Rory wins on soft greens, like outside of Quail. Like he'll play Quail and they'll be rolling 13s and he doesn't care. Otherwise, if you look at his majors, including the U.S. Open where he set the record and where he won this last major, Valhalla, soggy, soft greens are the way that he wins majors. And so this screams a top 10 bet for him. And Scotty's just an automatic top 10 bet if he rolls out of bed and decides to play in the tournament. So I like that bet.
I made that bet is why I brought it up, but I did make that bet. By the way, Benny On has been one of the best drivers of the golf ball for weeks and weeks and weeks. In fact, very quietly, Ben On is one of the better players on the PGA Tour in the last several weeks. I did place a little pizza money on Ben On as a top 10. A top 10 for Ben On. You can get him if you want to bet it 3 ways, top 20, top 15, top 10, or you can go 20, 10, 5. You can bet outright winner there. I like that pick. Max Homa to finish top 20. I did that as well. He's played well on long and difficult courses. And let's hope our local guy, Ludwig Abor, is going to step to the plate again here. Length off the tee, accuracy off the tee, big here at Valhalla. He is as long and straight as there is on the PGA Tour. So another pick there. The only trepidation I have with Ludwig is he did withdraw 2 weeks ago and was nursing a bit of an injury. I don't know. I get nervous with that. You never really know what a player – it's like Matsuyama. I love Matsuyama on difficult golf courses. I love Matsuyama when long irons are very important because nobody hits long irons. Pretty much nobody hits long irons better than Matsuyama. But he's had an up and down year because of injury. If you get a healthy version of Matsuyama, I love him all day long in the top 20 here. Plus, he's a gamer. I mean, he's a tough dude. You want long odds at a guy who's an amazing ball striker? Will Zalatoris. Everybody's worried about Will Zalatoris because he, too, withdrew from a tournament earlier. I think Will's going to have a great week. I think he's going to hit it straight. He's going to be great with his irons. It's just a matter of whether or not he'll putt. He's actually putting pretty well right now. Pizza money on Will Zalatoris in the outright market as well.
Outright market, okay. So a lot of these guys you're naming top 20s otherwise? Top 20s, top 10s?
Mostly top 20s. I've combined a few things. I'll take top Canadian. By the way, top Canadian, Pendrith in all likelihood. A lot of people will take Corey Connors there. I like Pendrith for top Canadian. It's fun when listen, last week Sung J M found his form. When he finds his form, he's a top 20 machine. He's a cut-making machine. We know that. I have a hard time with a lot of the live guys, not just because of the choice that they made, but they don't play real golf over there. And the further removed they get from having played on the PGA Tour, the more we're seeing evidence that their form is not where it needs to be. John Rahm looked terrible at the Masters, and he regrets it. So much so that he's at the dais saying dumb things like he did yesterday, such as, I've always been supportive of the PGA Tour. I still feel like a member of the PGA Tour who's just been suspended. I get the hell up out of here with that nonsense, John. You know what you did, and now you regret it. You took the bag. You're playing 54 holes in shorts. It's stupid team golf that nobody cares about, and you look like ass. And half of your league does every time they tee it up these days. The lone guy that I will never not bank on to play well is Brooks because he's a bit of a warrior, although he played terribly at the Masters.
He did, but this follows the same pattern as when he last won a major. Was he preceded that major with a live victory after disappointment? And that was, it was finishing second at Augusta, not finishing 50th or whatever he did.
Right.
He's basically one of the worst guys who made the cut. But he apologized to his team. He got mad at himself, and then he went out and he won a tournament. It sounds so simple, but for Brooks, that's really it. It's like if he cares and he feels like he either shorted himself or he was shorted by something else, he's going to compete. I think that's a top 10 bet in order to get better odds. Top 5 bet probably, if not an outright play for him. And it follows the form. The PGA Championship, now, they got two competing things. The layout is more like a U.S. Open, but the scoring is like a PGA Championship used to be relative to par. You go low. And the last two majors that were played here, I believe 04 and then Rory's in 14, 20 under won it and then 16 under won it. So this might play a little bit lower. It's hard to tell because it's a matter of how much the rain has affected the slopes of the fairways. Do they play slower? Does it play longer than the greens? How receptive are they? If they are, man, then this is going to go another one, 13 to 15 under par probably.
The guy that is hoping for weather to play a role and turn this into a scramble fest is the guy that is looking to cap off the career Grand Slam. Jordan Spieth, we always forget this, looking to cap off a career Grand Slam, has been awesome off the tee this year. Always has a blow-up hole and falls off a cliff and is irrelevant, but is still a master at scrambling. If it becomes a scramble fest, maybe it happens for him.
Yeah, the lower the winning total. Pair those together. Get a prop on the total winning score relative to par, and if it's lower than play Spieth. He also said something really idiotic yesterday. They're all taking turns. He's talking about how people say that there's an existential crisis. I chuckle. There's more motive. If fans understood what I know.
Yeah.
I mean, Jesus, it's really not hard to be a likable guy.
That's why we like Max Homa, man. He says a lot of smart things, and he's very, very likable. He's very, very likable. Good work out of you, sir. Appreciate it. Our thanks to Ira Chaffel. My thanks to all of you guys. We didn't get the probables today. We will tomorrow. Take care. It's Jeff Cameron Show. We'll be back. Oh, tomorrow is Seminole Headlines.